Now, the rest of the story.
And the shed is looking a lot more organized than it was just 24 hours ago. Speaking of 24 hours ago, the field is actually really, I can't just say the field, but everything is actually really dried up here since just last night, in my last video. And the lot here, we're southwest Wisconsin, right on Potosi, for those of you that are curious where I'm actually at. But the fields, by taking the gator out across the field, has gotten significantly firmer versus what it was just last night. So one of today's projects is kind of not something you see in a shed every day, but my uncle, for those of you that almost all of you don't know, my uncle's kind of out for the time being because he hurt his arm. So we figured we better go get a bench or something so he can sit and watch us work when he's out here visiting us. So we had this laying around. We figured, you know what, we better get it put together for him so he can sit in comfort, right? Hopefully he gets out and able to, well, he said it would be before summer before he'd be able to get out and do stuff again, or his arm should be healed up, but it doesn't sound like it's anything all too fun. And his advice was just don't get old. So kind of looking at potentially possibly moving some of the shed around tomorrow. We got to mix feed up, which shouldn't be that big of a deal. 65 degrees is what they're calling for. 65 degrees for today is what they're calling for, and we just went back in time and actually found this footage, forgotten camera in the back of the Bobcat actually. Ryan saw it the other day and asked me if I knew it was in there. So we actually have some found footage that I'm repurposing, well, other than just letting it go to waste. My SD card that was in my GoPro, it was corrupted, and rather than just completely foregoing that last video here, I'm going to try to at least touch a little bit on what I was saying and the rest of it. And what we're looking at is really getting the planter out, getting the shed cleaned out, not even cleaned out, just getting the shed cleaned out so we can move stuff around. To really put it in perspective, it's the 15th right now of March. We could be planting in just about a month. And the thing about that is when you start to add up all of the little jobs and the kind of work-intensive jobs, I mean, checking fence is a work-intensive job. We usually figure that's on a good year, 4 days. On a bad year, a week and a half of, nothing but fixing fence. And we really are out of the snow for the most part. We lost a lot on Sunday, and I think they're calling for a chance of flurries possibly on Friday. But I think our snow threats for the most part are pretty well past us, at least to the point where we're gonna have to plow ourselves out just to get to the road. Bobcat, I'd already mentioned, I think, in one video that I already got new tires coming from the Bobcat. All of our machinery is going to be getting gone through. Pretty much just waiting on oil, like I've said. New filters, new everything. The Bobcat is going to have a new set of tires on it. I just have to decide when I want to put them on, if I even put them on until even this fall, or I'll put them in the shed and at least have them on hand until something breaks, bad tire gets destroyed, or I'm not going to put one new tire on and run 3 old ones. I mean, if one of these goes down, it'll be a whole new set put on. But another kind of random upgrade I was really kind of considering doing was another hay fork for the Bobcat for down here. The Bobcat, believe it or not, I've said it before and I've said it time and time again. I prefer the Bobcat. It is a smaller machine, and it still has the height on it that I can stack 3 bales high in any of our sheds. It's actually handier for stacking hay, for getting into places and getting getting bales stacked. The deer, I actually prefer the deer for hauling hay in and then getting it, stacked around the shed so I can put it in. Last year we hauled in 220 bales with me, my uncle, and then Dale, who I'd say is, he's a family friend, hauling in. Oh gosh, what was it? When it was just me and Dale, I think it was 9 at a time. When Kevin showed up, what was it? 8, and it might have been more than 8, wasn't it? So at least 7. So we were at least doing 17. So 8 on the wagons, and then 1 with the deer. And having that 2-speed and the foot feet, I use the foot feet on pretty much any machine, any skid steer that has the foot throttle. I use that over running the engine wide open 100% of the time. I have yet to actually jump in the John Deere machine and grab the throttle dial and just wind it up 100% wide open and let it run. I kind of like how you drive a car. I'm constantly running the throttle, depending on what I'm doing, slowing down, speeding up. I just picked up on that a lot quicker. This year, I'm looking at making the bigger bales. These were 60-inch bales all last year. This year, I'm looking at doing at least 65. I'm trying to get the weight of them a little bit heavier. The bale spears that I mentioned I'm looking at, it's not just any random bale spears. The brand that I'm looking at, to get the style that I'm looking for, I think it's Lackender, but they're like 2 hours away. I mean, half a day, big deal. We get a slow day, I might run down and grab them, but it's just the part of the year where we're getting into spring planting and trying to weld the checkbook shut. For those of you that understand this time of year or any year where you're starting to put your crops in, I mean, when you're putting crops in, the money's pretty much just a steady stream going out. When you're harvesting the crops, ideally the money's coming back in. So as always, really, when you're getting into this time of year, planting in a month, would rather kind of take it easy on the spending until we know where we're at once all the crops are in the ground and off to the races. With fertilizer prices where they are, I was looking at 3 cuttings down here, and I factored $6,000 for fertilizer per cutting. Still planning on sticking to that. It just means, of course, I'll be putting less fertilizer on. The planter, I got to do. This was all in the video that didn't transfer over, but I need to talk about it again. But we have some demo parts I got to put on the planter. They're 360 waves. They go behind the seed discs after the seed tube. So as the seed is dropped into the ground, this wave is kind of like a single moldboard plow. And it goes along the seed trench, and it actually rolls over the sidewall on top of your seed, so you don't run into that issue of the seed not being covered and being exposed and then not being able to germinate properly, and you have emergence issues. Right now, when it comes to the planter, it's all about singulation and getting that seed up out of the ground the same as all of its little brothers and sisters. That's really what we're trying to do with the planter. I ordered a bunch of stuff for the planter. The problem is that supply and demand. I ordered this stuff back in January. The lion's share of the stuff that I'm kind of the most excited for, won't show up till September of this year. So we'll probably be having the planter out, going through that later this summer, which is better than trying to do it when it's freezing cold in the machine shed. The 360-degree waves, they're the demo parts that I got to use for 1 year. So that's the stuff that is already on hand. I'm also waiting on the trash wheels, the residue management system, I guess is what you want to call it. It's called the Reveal. By design, it's pretty neat. It's supposed to help with being able to float along the ground a lot better, as opposed to our trash whippers we have right now that are fixed solid to the rest of the row unit. And if you get into some rough ground or a rock, I mean, like where I live, there's rocks, it'll pick the whole row unit up, and that does mess with your singulation and planting depth and everything. So a lot of, well, it's a lot in 1 year, but subtle changes, trying to do this, trying to do that, and trying to improve yield. But I ran out of video, so thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. I got a new SD card. We're going to try that bad boy, and hopefully my videos start working out here. So until next time.